we have this now. Yeah, and Tom is at home, so he's homeschooling, so he's experiencing everything, this
Yeah.
seasonal weirdness. Where
Seasonal weirdness.
and what is clearly important for me is to have some sunlight at the beginning of the day, but it's too cold. I just don't want to
Oh
have
yeah,
a
you're so
walk.
cold over there.
So I'm sitting, drinking something, and yeah, I feel I have to do something. I have to do that. I have to
Uh,
answer some emails and respond on this and that.
yeah.
So you're thinking about what you have to do today, and this is not good because you're overthinking stuff,
Yep.
making drama and movies in your head. Well, when
Yeah, yeah. Well, and too, when you're all tired, it's all wintry, you feel like ass. You're like, everything's so hard. So then you go to do your work and you're like, oh, that's hard. Oh, this is hard. Like, so you just start thinking everything's like so hard. You get like into this habit of like thinking that way. And I was thinking about it this morning and I'm like, it's really not that hard. Okay. So just cool it with that a little bit.
we're
Um,
just moving pixels, we're not saving lives. Yeah,
exactly.
this is
No one's gonna die.
yeah,
Um, oh, side note, I
yeah.
had a dream last night.
Uh-oh.
I must have been in Montreal and I was talking to Tom.
Why?
I don't know. He was just there. I think that you and I were chatting, and then he was like crawling all over the place, like doing kid things, I guess. But then, anyways, him and I started chatting, and I was
Okay.
like, Tom, your
Hmm.
English is so good since the last time I saw you. And he was like, oh, yeah, anyways. And he was just speaking like completely fluently and
Oh,
just
thank
totally
you.
casual about it. And I was like, wow, good job. And I was like, you guys really taught him like a lot of English really fast. And then I woke
I
up.
wish we
That was
could
my
get. I think I dreamed something like that because he's learning now Espanol, a little bit of Spanish, and I
nice.
dreamed for him that because my wife and Tom have this gift with languages, they can learn it so fast, and the accents and all. So you're too good at this. I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous.
I'm not
I'm not
jealous.
jealous. I'm not jealous. Um, and I dreamed about them speaking to each other in Spanish. And the thing is, I don't like it because at the beginning of when he was 2, 3, 4, we spoke in English. When you say no, time to bed and things like that. So
Yeah.
we had a
Yeah.
secret language, and I don't want my wife and my kid to have a secret language. uh, so yeah, I need to learn it
Exactly.
so they don't, speak in front of me with secret language.
Exactly. They
Yeah,
can start scheming at any time and you won't even know. They're just like, we're practicing Spanish.
I'm pretty sure they are scheming already to say, this is what we'll eat for dinner. I know that Dad want a steak, but we want pizza, so slowly convince him. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, winter is hard. It's pretty cold right now. There's a lot of snow here in Montreal. We have way too much snow, so everybody is, what we do with that. But yeah, I feel
Yes.
you. It's a
I I remember when I was in Montreal, there was I think it was like mid-February is when I like between now and mid-February usually when I'd like lose it totally. And I remember my partner and I were like walking to the grocery store. We had two arms full. Like, both of us, two hands full of groceries. We're walking up the hill to get home. There's a blizzard.
mm-hmm.
And I honestly had a tantrum. I think
Okay.
pretty much. I mean, as much as I would ever have a tantrum, it would be very quiet usually, but I was just like, this sucks. I hate this.
It sucks, and you're inside too much, in front of your screen too much, and you're creating drama where there shouldn't be. So, oh, it's done. We're supposed to be live now. Hey, hello.
Hey, hey, hello.
For everyone that just there's no one right now, so we're
for
okay.
the
For
hordes, the P&P hordes of
feel like
fans.
I'm talking to my parents about my job right now. What? Yeah.
Oh,
What?
right.
So I think we have a small problem of the week. Well, there's no small problem, just small
Yeah,
KPIs. I
so
don't know what I'm saying. I love saying that. I have a stupid question and say, there's no stupid question. There's just stupid people. Yeah. By the way,
yes.
or stupid question. It's not a stupid question. So it's about drop downs quantity, and I kind of love this because it's an old problem. I think I faced a couple decades ago, and I don't remember how I fixed it. And I want to see it with
Okay.
you. So it's about drop down. Let
Cool.
me
Cool.
share it
Are you?
with you.
I was gonna say, are you sharing your screen?
No, yeah, I do now.
Are you?
So two drop
Okay.
downs. How to properly let the user know that there are restrictions from for drop down menus. By the way, drop down. We put something between. It's a dash. Do we put a dash or not a dash? Because Grammarly keep fixing that for me. So is it?
You know what? Quit it with the dashes. It's too much.
That's too much.
It's just, it's too
There's
much.
a drop down
Front
is
end.
already too much. So okay.
Yeah.
So there are restrictions for a drop down menu that are dependent to each other. So it's kind of classic. It's kind of confusing. It's classic. So you need to
Yeah.
choose a quantity. Max is 20, but you have two drop downs that one plus one should equal max them 20 items. So interesting, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much
Okay.
it for what I see. And
Okay. There are two types of connections.
yeah.
As you can see, I'm using a simple drop down to let the user decide how much of each connection they want.
Hmm.
Computer internet connection? I don't know.
Maybe, maybe,
Okay.
maybe because there's a bandwidth issue here and whatever.
Okay. Basically, the total main and guest connection has to be less than 20.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, so max 19.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, I have it set up so that when a user selects the main Wi-Fi, we're talking about internet, the guest connection drop down options automatically calculates the number that they have. If a main connection was 5, the options under the guest drop down would render 1 to 15. If okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure we care in a way. Yeah, the 1 plus 1 if equal 20, but maybe a drop down have a maximum also. That's maybe it. For example,
Yeah.
main connection at maximum 5. And I think what we can do. Or so also it's also saying sharing it back to the user. By the way, you have 20 and 5. If you have 5 and I don't know 11, you have too many guests or things like that. So it's all about the
Yeah.
feedback, whatever it is. The use case is just an example, but we get it. If you have
Yeah.
20 and
Yeah. Yeah.
20, you have where do we have too much and
Yeah. Okay, so shall we start with the problem,
yeah, please.
as we love to do?
Yeah, because if we don't understand the problem, what the hell with the solution? We're designer, we're fixing something, not just
We're
adding
gonna start
figures.
fixing. You start
Yeah.
fixing a little too quick sometimes,
Wait, wait.
which we've
But
done on this show a few times.
but I kind of love knowing the problem. What's the problem? It's feel at ease. I'm more zen. I'm
That's the thing. The constraints are really important because also as designers and devs as well, right? You just start solving, and then it's getting absolutely out of control really fast. And it's really overwhelming, right? Because you think you have to like solve everything and you're like, yeah, it's not done. Nothing I do is done ever.
yeah.
That's a terrible way to live. We can't be doing.
I love arriving. I know the journey is everything, the journey, the user journey, all of this. But I kind of love arriving, doing the thing.
Yeah.
And so the
You
journey
like
of adding a task, I don't need this big journey. I just want to do the task so I can go back to the water
crack a
cooler and
brew.
have fun. Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Yeah, exactly. So we can get back on dev problems and start making jokes in public.
It's like all the schemes to be rich, you know. That it's about the journey to be rich. I kind of want to be rich right now, you
Oh,
know. Can
sounds so good.
anyway, so as a user of let's say it feel it's oh it feel it's oh sorry feel woo woo
I'm making jokes as a Wi-Fi haver.
I, I was a Wi-Fi haver administrator, right?
Yes, you're an administrator.
Administrator, Wi-Fi haver administrator. Okay. Um, I need to set up all my connections. That's
Yeah.
that's the thing. But I don't want. That's always the thing I love the Reform about it. It's not just set up the many connection. Is to make
Add
sure
guests.
add
Or
guest.
oh, go with that. Make sure. What were you
Make
gonna say?
sure I don't overload the system with
Mm,
the guest I'm adding or something like that. It's not just setting a connection. Is
yeah.
I'm not overloading the bandwidth or something like that. That's what I adding guests and making okay, so maybe the problem is adding setting everything in the right way so I don't have
Yeah.
to overload the bandwidth or something like that.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
maybe
that's
that,
good. Yeah,
I
that's
think.
good. That's really good. Yeah, I like that. I need to set up my and configure my users or accounts or something so that oops, so that I don't overload my system.
So they can have access, they can have Wi-Fi without overloading my system,
Hmm.
I think. Because the goal is to give people Wi-Fi, I think, or whatever. It could be feel like it's a remote type of Zoom, Skype, Google Meeting also maybe. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
As a Wi-Fi haver administrator, I need to set up and configure my users so that they
They
can have Wi-Fi without overloading my system.
there it is. That's a problem. Good.
Okay.
How we fix it?
How do we fix it? Yeah.
Let's add some drop down.
Well, so let's like why don't
Just
we
yeah, for the as is, just for the fun, for fun, right?
sure.
Just so we have something to play with. So uh, this is main. Oop, sorry. Main. Let's say I have 5 and guests. So it's right now with this, I have the maximum of connections allowed, right? Oh, we could start with that, by the way. Not talking about the errors, but just saying, yeah, you reach the maximum allowed connection, maybe, and
Yeah.
work backwards. I don't know.
Well, let's why don't we do you know how last time we looked at some things to like consider or like
Oh yeah,
um
yeah,
things like
yeah.
that? Why don't we try that and see if some stuff pops up? I don't have like like I have a list of prompts ready or anything. But maybe that would be kind of cool place.
So
So this is stuff that you're touching on.
yeah,
So
a success when your maximum allowed reached and all good job. Um, when there's too much, you're overloaded. But the thing here is, what can you adjust, and what's the sandbox available?
mhm.
That's will kind of be tricky to explain.
Yeah, like and I think too, like for me, I'm like, I think what sparks in my brain is really that communicating or visibility of system status, the first heuristic. it just comes up naturally in all of these UX moments, right? So
If you don't, if it's not coming natural for you, we have a great article about it, and we have a live about it, and so go check it out.
go
But
check
yeah.
it out.
Mhm.
Yeah, get you primed. Yeah, so you're talking like what can you adjust, visibility of system status. Um, we have success. I would say like we have errors or just consideration of potential errors, maybe.
Mhm.
Because we could actually, I think that we're sort of over it with this idea of going from finicky drop down to finicky drop down that are dependent on each other. Like if
Mhm.
we can, I think we want to avoid that
Mhm.
finicky drop down interplay thing, right? When we did the max and the min
Mhm.
thing in
Mhm.
one of our other problems, we were like over it. So maybe as we go into this, we can try to avoid that.
True, true, true. Let's do that. Oh, I'm sharing something else. I'm sharing.
I'm gonna call it
Yeah,
try to avoid finicky drop down interplay.
good.
TM.
Yeah.
Sorry, now
Uh,
I'm full of beans. I thought that I was all grumpy, but actually, let's go. Um,
oh, there it is. I lost you for a while in Whimsical. Sorry.
all
That's why I
good.
was not fully present. Sorry, I'm back. I'm back.
You're back. Hey,
Okay.
bud.
Okay, good. So yeah, I was gonna say this, and I would say there's something to consider before you do anything, during and after maybe. So how can say how can I show you what's possible before you actually do something? You know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So like I guess it's almost like the concept of affordances, but more specific. Like how
Hmm.
do I expose what we want to do is expose constraints and rules or logic of the system.
Well, what's the yeah? What's the name I love to use? What's the rule of engagement before you start to
Yeah.
play? You know.
Yeah, sure. Like the rule.
Uh,
Yeah, we talk a lot in interaction just in general about how we have this idea of a proactive versus a reactive interface. So
mm, mm,
in
mm.
general, especially enterprise software, we're throwing errors left, right, and center. We're like, no, you can't. Surprise. but but actually, we can do a little better than that, like upfront, right?
Absolutely.
Tell some people stuff before they do the errors. Be a little bit
And
less rude in
and
your
it's not just a
interface.
paragraph or a couple of words in a sentence. Uh, you
It's
can
like, yeah,
make them feel or sense it without explaining it. That's the best UX, like
yeah,
a door handle, something like that.
creme de
But
la
yeah.
creme.
Mm.
Yeah, man, totally.
And maybe what I would like to maybe think about is should we absolutely have drop downs? Or drop downs is the thing
That's my first question.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, let's our brains have officially merged on that one. So, drop downs, really? Question
Hmm.
mark. That's must we?
That, that,
Must
that-
we?
well, that's something that I do in my life. I'm always asking if I need drop downs. I don't need more drop downs. And every time there's a drop downs, I for real, without joking, I'm trying to not use them, just as practice. Just as
Yes. Yeah, because when you get to dependencies like this, and I think the problem or like the difficulty with drop downs is it's like you go into the value, you look at this list, it blocks the thing underneath it, then
Mhm.
you do a thing, then the other thing reacts to it, or so you just it's just tough to kind of make them friends.
And on mobile, I sometimes drop downs are friendly, but most of the time, anyway. And it's
Well,
hard to implement or develop a smart drop down with the search and all of this. It's kind of a anyway.
yeah.
You know.
So the first thing I want to do,
Mhm.
I'll just throw this out there. Um, you are in Hold on.
I'm not moving.
Not moving.
Connections.
Connections. What's the descriptor? What's the describing word?
Connection
Okay. Selected.
added, selected,
Added. Added
added,
is better.
added.
This is
We don't have an apply or submit or something like that right now. So it means that it's pretty much live. How do you say that? It's saved automatically.
real time?
In the real
Kind of?
time, kind of. So it's
Yeah.
added.
Yeah.
Is it 4 of 19 connection right now? Because we have
no, this is like 19 is max. It's not actually 20.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
Because they said they
would
can't
be something
go.
like that. Do I understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not 4 then. It's 19 of 19.
Yeah,
So,
it is. Yeah, in this case.
So let's say just 3 and 1. So 3, 4. Okay, let's so.
Yeah.
Ooh, 3. Okay, there it is.
Moving really fast on this show.
So 1, 3, 4 of connection added.
Yeah.
So first, we can say how much you can add. And on main you can, well, that's the thing. On main you can add not more than, so we can have something like a message like, I don't know, I'm just trying something. You can add 4 more. And here you can add, because there's a maximum in main, right? Is it there's a maximum?
Oh, I don't think that there was. I thought it was
remember.
between the two, but let's look closer and
I'm
make
not
sure
sure.
that we're
No, okay, you're right.
okay. Haha, more simple.
Yeah,
Simpler
absolutely.
even.
So you can add, well, I for added, you can add, and we do the math. I don't want the user to do the math for them. So we can add 16 more. You can add 16 more. Something like that. But I'm not sure it's the right place to do that.
I'm not sure it's the right place too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's capture that feedback somewhere and let's abolish these drop downs.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chop them.
Okay.
Chop
I
'em.
feel there's something about plus, minus.
Oh, bud.
Oh!
Yes.
Good. So let's use button for that.
Buttons. Yeah, so we could do.
Sorry.
Did these drop downs turn into? We actually have inputs that are just regular inputs. Oh yeah, those are cute. Yeah, we'd do that.
Just. So no more drop downs. There it is. Plus to the right or to the left? Where?
Oh, plus is to the right.
Why?
Because because my stomach tells me.
Stomach.
Yeah.
Well, let's do something like that then. There's a minus.
Really? I love that on the left and on the right.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really common pattern. You get like this.
Oh. I beg to differ.
Ooh, it's heating up. The debate.
Oh, interesting. Because for me, adding stuff is piling stuff on top of each other. But I don't. It's interesting. So you're adding on the left, on the right. But I kind of love that because you're adding stuff. Feel more classic mental model.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. Hold on. I think that maybe we can. I think what would make maybe a bit more sense, because I don't know about that. Let me throw it out there anyways, and we can fight it out if we want. Up, down.
Well, yeah. Okay, so chevrons. Yeah. Oh, okay.
So we have options. So I mean, so then you get your pile up thing that you love and your composition thing.
There, that's the name of a component. This plus one and minus, but I don't remember what
Yeah.
it is. What it is? I don't. I'm not
I'm
searching
gonna
on Google
call.
right now.
I
I'm not.
am. Oh wait, are we not allowed to? Or are we
Oh
just
yeah.
trying to?
No, we're
We
adding
can try to
value,
make
so
up
we
a
could.
name.
Yeah.
Plus minus input.
Um,
I'm gonna call it a plus minus input and see what I
I'll try
get.
to find it. Just fine. Add,
Oh
remove.
yeah.
What?
Haha.
What's the name?
CodePen calls it a plus minus input counter.
Uh, but there's something else. Oh, I'm pretty
So
sure there's something else. I feel like an old something component. If there's someone who know what's the name of this component, it's an old one.
plus minus
Please.
buttons.
Plus one.
Bootstraps snippet buttons minus plus plus minus. Benoit,
Input.
I gotta say, I'm seeing a lot of images that have this composition that I was suggesting.
I know, same thing here. But I don't know why I like it. I understand. No, that's why. I'm not sure it's a debate. Maybe.
It's interesting though, because it's a mental model of like how you want this to work, right?
Exactly.
And it's when we figure out
Mm.
our patterns and like work with them.
Oh, see, it's an input stepper.
Input stepper.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, if Nielsen Norman Group said it's a input stepper, it's an input stepper. You want to look at? I'm
Do I want to flex to Norman right now?
confused.
Hey, Norman, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
Yes.
Let me just keep pasting just for fun. So
Steppers.
it's a
God, that's a
stepper.
weird one. That's a weird.
Put stepper.
It feels like a really weird name.
So
But
horizontal or vertical? So well, if Norman said it's mine, I won. Oh, that's interesting. No keyboard, that's a thing. Intuitive, blah blah blah. Low interaction cost, kind of love it, right? Drawback, difficult to acquire. Yeah, it is when it's difficult. That's maybe why the horizontal is better, because with your thumb or on mobile, something like that, it's better. And there's a big difference, a big gap between the minus and plus.
oh,
But there's
true.
something, use large button on the desktop. Oh, we can see that in StackExchange and elsewhere, when you're uploading something. That's interesting. So don't use an numeric field value that can have a wide range of value. Yes, right? Numerical continuous and exact value is important. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we know now it's an input stepper from Nielsen Norman Group. We can maybe trademark another name for this component.
Plus minus input counter. I don't like that either. Okay, well yeah, that's cool. So so there's, different ways to compose something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um so these are our different
Feel the right direction.
yeah, I
Feel
think
that's
so
it.
too.
Yeah. So if we have two, like this one and this one, or whatever, how we display both, what will happen.
God, that's so big. Yeah. I'll just move that over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so which one do you want to go with?
Here, right now, what I want to understand is how they are, relative to each other.
Yeah.
That's what I want to fix, because, whatever.
That's the relationship between them now is our next step.
Exactly.
Of making it like.
So if we are using the same paradigm, tree and tree. So there's a maximum and minimum and things like that. So I feel like when you reach the maximum in one, the other is disabled. Let's say this one. Oh, interesting. So let's say we reached the maximum here. Let's say we have 19 here and 20. So feel like I cannot add any. I cannot add any. So these should be disabled. So, oh, disabled.
Sorry, I'm just trying to put get a little label
Oh, thank
on
you.
each one so that we know
So
what
this
they
is
are.
classic, main. Oh, thank you. You're right.
There we go.
Yes. So that's one, but it's not telling me what I can. Oh, is it?
Well, hold on. So if we have it where, okay, so this is our like little chunk. So let's just treat that as like our composition. So we could have, hold.
Oh, did I? I thought it was for that. Let me control.
So like one thing I like to do for these kind of microcopy things is be, I guess, as short as we can. So yeah, like in the final state, we could change the structure of the language. I also like to just explain what I like to do like 4 of 19 because then you don't have to communicate it anywhere else. Like 19 is the total and this is what you have. So you get like 2 things that you can say. I've done it too where it's like X left. But because like 0 left, 1 left, 2 left, 3 left, kind of like inverse the language, but
I here feel like a mathematic formula, if equal 4 of 19.
yeah, you could
and the thing is,
totally, yeah.
And then we can say, because I feel like people will need to are guessing how much you can add. You can add 16 more, something like that. Not sure. Oh, let me, because now I'm learning that I cannot erase an iteration. I have to duplicate it because she doesn't like.
I can't lose context, then I don't remember what I did.
Exactly. So this is what we did before. This is the next one. So you can add 16 more, 5 of 19. Or maybe 19, something like that. So that we can simplify it.
Well, here's the question. Why do you want to have it shown sort of in 2 places?
I don't know. I just feel like a formula, so I just did something like one. I'm just playing visually right now with this mental model is 1 + 1 = 2, things like that. I'm just trying to see if it's bringing any meaning. I don't know.
Okay.
I really
okay. Yeah, I was just curious.
I'm also curious. That's why I want to see it. Sometimes I'm prototyping just so I feel like I'm wrong, but I really want to feel the pain.
Yeah, so, and you're like, and you're like, oh no, I threw up. That means probably it's not good.
Exactly. But it would make sense, but it's not well, it's not beautiful. That's one. It's not elegant. It's an elegant solution.
Well, I think it is cool. Like I've done interfaces where you do like I've done like a Boolean logic interface once, this or this, and really structured the language and the I guess kind of equation together in like a lot of structure. And it was really good to do because the logic is really complex. But I think in this case where there's only one total that you have to reach, it's kind of simpler. Like you can probably do that with some plain language and not necessarily have to like build visual around it.
It's not a visual, but it's a visual representation. I feel like a calculator.
It's a matching real world and a computer, actually.
What are you saying? Is it another heuristic that
it's another heuristic? Yeah.
We have an article just that we published last week, and we had a live about that last week. Wow. Everything
Wow.
is in everything.
They
Uh,
just come up like just somehow in conversation, and wow, it's amazing.
but this is what I'm trying for real. This is what I'm trying. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I like doing that. Again, because learning curve, because it's kind of easier. I don't have to explain everything. It feel like classic, high school formula, but it's not beautiful. Yeah. So now that's done.
We have a couple of approaches. I might
Yeah.
just like label them,
Good.
and then we can go through and maybe see. So I got the one line of text option. That's this up here. I've got, I would describe this as like formula uh, and reinforcement option, whatever. Got to move these apart so you can kind of, and then I'll call this one math like in school. Oh God, the kids still have notebooks, don't they?
They do
For
because you don't have
math?
any. They don't have the budget to buy iPads. That's why.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, another place where we can disagree a little bit. Kira and I are disagreeing all the time.
Our company is called Pencil and Paper. Just
got
saying.
got it.
I
Got it.
mean, we got to do some shout outs to a little bit of analog here and there.
You're right.
But the computer's cool too. I mean, I played Oregon Trail growing up. I know the beauty of digital experiences.
Good. It's 20
Okay.
maximum, by the way. It's not 19. I don't know why.
It's 20 maximum. It's 19 maximum.
19 maximum?
They said can't go over 20 in the text. Yeah.
It's 20 and more, or 20?
Has to be less than 20.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Yeah.
So that's an error. It should be 18.
Okay, so we've got some options. Why don't we weigh them out and see what we think are the strengths or weaknesses of each one?
You're right.
What do you think? Cool?
Yeah.
Is that a good plan for now?
Sorry. I'm just trying to... I'm nitpicking right now, but...
Benoit's doing his neurotic need to get all the totals right.
And
Is it?
Well, you just did your naming the cluster one, so
yeah. We gotta. I mean, people are like, "Oh my God, what are these? Are these two on espresso or what?"
We're just designers.
But we're not on espresso, or are we on espresso? Are you?
No.
On the bean?
No.
We've both renounced the bean, so
yeah, exactly.
We're not.
Yeah.
Renounce the bean.
Problem. I know. One line of text. What I like about it, it's kind of it's kind of easy. You can see it in different interface, small, big interface. I don't like that it is too close. So it has to be, more real estate because I don't want to mix them.
Yeah.
But that's a small thing. Yeah, it's kind of easy. Can I understand what I have to do? Let's say I'm starting at 0 now, because that's what was one of our question. Just if we started at 0, just for fun, 0, 0, and starting 19. Is it something easy to understand? Oh yeah, it's kind of let's move it here because it's self-explanatory. I feel, right?
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of great. And so as soon as you're adding one, and now you can let's disable that. As soon as you disable adding one, you see, the system is giving you some feedback. Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. So it's like very instant. There's not like loading. It's like probably true.
I don't even want to look at the other variations.
Okay, Benoit's sold. I'm sold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the
Okay.
formula is not hiding anything, and it's a classic, input helper text below. So this is classic, and I'm pretty sure most of the forms in the system are made like that. You have a label, input, helper text. The only thing you have, because when you think about it, it's just a label, an input, and a small, something like that. So it's the same flow. We're just making it, work together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Oh,
so that sounds great.
that's
That
it.
sounds great.
So let's figure out what's happening if there's a problem, just to be sure.
I would say a problem is completely prevented with this approach because um, you have disabling that happens when the maximum is reached. You're not actually able to violate that.
So,
That's assuming as well that you don't actually have the ability to click in and put a number in here, um,
but even
which I
if you
think we're
do,
assuming
but even if you
because that
do,
makes it a lot more complicated.
it will react the same way, right?
Well, in that case, we'd
Oh,
have to
no,
do
that's true.
errors, right?
We have to do
Yeah,
errors. It's true.
yeah. But in this case where they just
Or
disable and you're not allowed to type in,
let's say
then
you type in 20, for example, and the error would just return the maximum you can enter, like 19. And
yeah,
everything
that's
is
true. Like
disabled.
a rude input or like a bossy input. I do like those when it comes
Uh,
to numeric values. Um, they're funny, but that requires you to do a lot of calculations and stuff. Um,
well, an error will mean the same thing. Because there's something about keyboard stuff that is kind of important for power user or for everyone. Tab 3, tab 6, enter, done. So not relying only on the mouse on the touch.
well, you could. So here's a question.
Yeah,
Weird question. So could you actually have focus in that field without enabling a cursor? So could I still have focus in this field, have this in a focus state, and I'm
yeah.
doing up, 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 down, 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 up, 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 down, down, down,
Oh,
and then I
that
tab to the next thing?
you absolutely first. You can
Yeah.
even use your scroll your scroll button on your mouse. That's the delightful feature. If you just scroll up,
Ah,
scroll down,
okay.
So
Yeah.
it's not it's absolutely. So this is just scope creeping the plus and minus, but yeah, absolutely. So it's the delightful feature. The problem's still the same, even if you enter a number.
Well, it's not efficient. I think that's it. It's still enabled with your keyboard, but it's not
It's not efficient.
optimized for efficiency.
And also, you know um, it's a little bit different also. It's still an input, and so the input will behave a little bit different in the other inputs. So why? you know it's the control and freedom, maybe heuristic. um
Yeah, like if you think if this is worth kind of having the maximum flexibility on how to interact with it,
yeah,
if this is something that people will adjust a lot, um, and stuff like that, then that stuff is really worth
work.
pursuing, I think.
Let's try, just because. Let's try. Let's find out how we what could happen if someone is inputting that with their keyboard.
Well, I do like your suggestion of having more of a bossy input where if you put in something that exceeds the maximum that you're actually allowed, then it will when you take your focus out of it, it
It
will
will revert back to the maximum allowed. That's it.
yeah.
Are we explaining why we did that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my opinion on it or like my take on it is that the whole point of getting away from the finicky finicky drop down
Mm,
dynamic is that you have to like throw an error and then put a custom one for what's wrong with it, and then you have to go to the
yeah,
other one, and it's
yeah.
that back and forth finickiness
Mm,
versus preventing the error in the first place. You don't have to do do so much handling around it. So like, what are the ways that you can,
It's true.
um, yeah, that you
It
can react in the interface that aren't that. That's kind of what my thought process was.
Well, that's the academic way of explaining it that I love. That's why I'm with Kira. Me, it's a little bit more basic. It's like, when you're entering a code postal, do whatever you want. As soon as you hit enter, I'll format it, the way that I can.
I'll do the
And
work. Do the work for you.
I'll do the work for you.
Yeah. Right.
And
Yeah.
if you added more characters, I will just remove it and just give you, in Canada, the 6 first characters, and that's it. Um, Same thing for credit card or for anything else. So I'll revert back to what I need and gently saying, no, this is what I want. No, this is what I
Yeah.
want. I don't dislike that. It's good. It's great.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. I
great.
love that. I love when inputs are smarter than, like you can't put letters in this. You can't, things like that. Those like subtle things with inputs like make such a big difference, especially if you're entering a lot of data, or if like you really don't care about this thing, right? It's like
Mm.
the amount of work that we can do for you is better because it shouldn't take up your brain cells.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Let's make something just better when they reach the maximum or whatever, or all good, or uh, I don't know if they need to go to the maximum, but something a little bit different when they, well, no, I'm adding stuff, but I don't know why I'm adding stuff. I want in my mind a smiley or something and said, good. But maybe that's not the case. I don't want
Maybe
to
it's
add.
good. Maybe, yeah, I was just thinking, like, is it good?
No,
Or are you going to be bummed? It's kind of
maybe.
neutral, maybe.
Yeah. So you don't have to add any sparkles here. Maybe 19 is what you want, but maybe, I don't know. The goal is not to add as much connection as possible. That's. So I was wrong here. That's enough. I think we're
Okay.
ready to synthesize this problem.
I think we're ready. You want to
Yeah.
do it?
Nope, I'll
Want
let
me
you
to
do
do
it.
it?
Yeah, please. You
Okay.
explained it way better than me. And you're prettier than me,
Well,
so.
oh, that's nice. Thank you. But you're also beautiful.
Mm.
Okay, so what's the problem we're solving? It's a drop down menu combo problem. So this person is asking us on StackExchange about how to properly let the user know about the restrictions between two fields that are dependent on each other. So between these two fields, the main connection and guest connection, you have a maximum of 19 as a total that you can reach. You can't exceed that. And so what our person wants to know about is like, how do you actually handle that? So our first step was to create our problem. So a blank, I need to blank, so that blank. So this is what we came up with. It was a pretty easy problem this time to nail. Yay. So as a Wi-Fi haver administrator, I need to set up and configure my users so that they can have Wi-Fi without overloading my system. So they can configure this thing and meet the constraints. So then we talked a little bit about the things that we're going to consider, whether they're gotchas or rationale. So we thought about, okay, we definitely need to show success at the max and like at the maximum, and like how do we convey this? We thought about, okay, what can you adjust? What's going to be allowed? We knew off the bat that we definitely don't want to. We want to avoid this finicky drop down interplay TM. Of other forms, right? This like weird thing where we're just like negotiating between these two things and throwing an error and doing a calculation and doing another thing, and this thing does this and this thing does that. No, thank you. Then we thought about, okay, this is actually a visibility of system status kind of problem. We want to show what's allowed as well as what's happening on the fly. So those two kind of things, which ties into this concept here of exposing constraints and the logic of the system. Rather than throwing errors, why don't we try to just say what's possible instead? And then also drop downs, really. Maybe we can just not do this. This is, our brains were melded on that. So to start things off, we just talked about talked about the as is a little bit. Then we explored the components themselves. So we tried to figure out what is this component actually called. If you come down to the bottom with me, Benoit. So we talked about, okay, how are these actually done? What are they called? We looked up NN group and we found that it's called a
Input stepper.
input stepper. So we used an input stepper and threw the dropdowns in the trash. We did a little exploration around trying to formulate this like a formula. So we looked at the formula kind of concept as well as the formula concept, but in a different composition. Where we settled for this problem is this combo here at the top. So this is the one line of text option. So in this option, we have main and guest. They're both using the stepper input. And we just have a one line that has an active sort of status and I guess the affordance or the rules of what's available. So in this line down here, it says 0 of 19 connections added as you plus, plus, plus. These are actually enabled. As you add things, they update in here in their respective containers, and then they also update right here. So you have this live sense of like what's happening. So yes, so as you go along and you add more things, this is updating to 4. And then finally you reach your max and you have 19 of 19 connections added. Little interaction subtlety thing here is around the disabled state that the plus will then turn into. So this is in the spirit of preventing people from doing the wrong thing and throwing that error. So disabled is what we do instead. And this is how we reinforce why that is the case. We quickly discussed how we would actually handle this with a keyboard rather than like a mouse and click interaction. And where we settled on that was we go into the input, and if you exceed the total of what you're actually allowed to input there, then the system would basically put in the highest possible value instead. And so there we still prevent the errors from happening and optimize for keyboard and optimize for efficiency in the interaction. So that's what we came to for this problem.
Wow.
Yay!
I think we can say mic drop down. Can we?
Yeah.
Mic drop down with a dash, with no dash.
With no dash?
With no dash, yeah.
Mic drop down. Wow.
I didn't plan for that. I'm just that good. So thank you for this, Kira. Again, if you have a problem of the week, please, any problems, send it to us, contact us in any way on Twitter or on the website, LinkedIn, whatever. We'll talk about it. And go check out, our articles, of course, but we have courses, we have tools, we have templates, we have a great checklist about, whatever you have to do when you're building a table. Something about heuristics is you have to share something about heuristics to your colleague. We have a great template in Figma that is, interactive and all with Megan explaining you how to customize it. And we'll have another definitely very soon. Go subscribe to our newsletters. And there it is. Anything to add here, Kira?
Be our best friend.
Oh,
that's it. That's all.
Have a nice week and see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.